As noted, we're going to be modelling a reasonably complex piece of geometry over the next few videos, in the form of the grille or guard that covers the main viewing port on the helmet. To make a start then, let's select the hatch geometry and hit the isolate button so that we can work for a while in a clutter-free environment. In the front viewport, let's hit Alt and W to maximise the view, and then use the Zoom Extents All button to nicely frame ourselves up on the mesh. In the Create tab on the command panel, let's click on the plane option, and then click and drag in the viewport in order to create one. It doesn't really matter what size, because before right-clicking to exit create mode, we're going to come to the creation parameters in the command panel and set the length and width values of 4.5 and then 8 centimeters respectively. Whilst we are here, let's also set the length and width segment options to 1 and 3 respectively, and then right-click in the viewport so as to exit create mode. We will then want to right-click again in order to convert our plane to an editable poly object. Now, if we check our reference here, we can see that around the outside of this guard, we essentially have 4 identical arch shapes that sit on each of the sides that make up this central diamond, each with 4 extended tabs that are used to bolt the overall guard into place. Now, we could try to create this as one entire mesh, but to be honest, that would just be setting ourselves up for quite a bit of hard work and a healthy dose of frustration added in for good measure. A much simpler and ultimately higher quality approach would be to create one of these self-contained arch shapes and then just rotate and duplicate it in order to produce the finished piece as a whole. Jumping into Edge Subobject mode then, let's select the upper middle edge on our plane, and then after engaging the Move tool, just pull it up in the view until we roughly match the curve or arch of the viewport hatch we see sitting behind it. We can then hit Alt and R to select the ring, and then from the Loops panel up on the ribbon, Shift-click on the Connect tool. We want to create 2 new edges in here, and add a pinch value of around about 18 or so, and then hit OK. Now, once smoothing is added, we may find that we want to space these edges a little further apart in order to get the exact shape that we want, but for now, we can go ahead and work with what we already have. Again, selecting the upper middle edge here, let's hold down Shift, and then drag upwards in the view in order to create the extended tab to which we are going to want to add yet another hole. Indeed, speaking of holes, we are going to need to hollow out the center of the shape that we have here, and so let's jump into Polygon Subobject mode and select all of the polygons making up the main body of the mesh. Now, we could perform the edits that we want here on the editable poly object itself, but that would of course lock us into having to use whatever edits we perform. As already noted though, whenever possible I prefer to give myself options and flexibility. And so, coming out of Subobject mode, let's add an Edit Poly modifier from the button list, and then right-click on it and rename it Inset, which describes exactly what we are going to be doing with it. After coming into Polygon Subobject mode, in the Polygons panel on the ribbon, let's Shift-click on the Inset tool, set the inset amount to 0.5 centimeters, click OK, and then simply delete the selected polygons that we still have. Which means we are ready to move into our next exercise and add the screw hole that we will need for our extended tab piece.